Hello again, everyone. Zakatech is here with my WWE Raw review for the night, Monday, March the 11th, 2013. Of course, we're 4 weeks away to Mania, and it was an okay Raw tonight. We had one really good match tonight, involving two great athletes. Actually, I think one's a current Money in the Bank winner. Oh yeah, they all both Money in the Bank winners. One hasn't cashed in yet, but and it's And plus, we saw the feud between Taker and Punk finally kind of begin tonight. And unfortunately, the entire feud, as many would expect, especially in the aftermath of what happened last week, would center around the death of a man who was remembered a lot tonight, Paul Bearer. Of course, Paul Bearer died last week, and I think everyone, including myself, was fearing the worst that they're going to use Paul Bearer, they're going to exploit his death as a storyline. Well, they are. That's WWE for you. They exploited Eddie Guerrero's death to hell. Well, I think Paul Bearer would have not mind his death being exploited because, Paul Bearer was a character death, but we'll see what his family thinks about all this. So, anyway, that's how we begin Raw with, of course, the Paul Bearer tribute. And the package was great. I saw the video package on YouTube. It was the same one that aired on YouTube, and it was a great tribute. And the way Raw kicked off with that, and of course, Taker coming out with the urn in the center of the ring. Great way to begin with Taker doing the famous bowing the knee, the pose to the urn, but then, like I expected, I think everybody figured that CM Punk was going to disrupt the tribute to Paul Bearer tonight if they had some sort of tribute, which they did have a tribute, and indeed Punk did interrupt Taker's tribute. I know Punk's trying to get heat on himself. I know why CM Punk interrupted that tribute, because, he's trying to get heat and start the feud with Taker, but why in the hell would you have to interrupt Paul Bearer's tribute? You know what I mean? He interrupted Mae Young's birthday last week, that little birthday celebration with Mae Young. That was fine and funny, but interrupting Paul Bearer's tribute, that is heartless. I don't care who wrote that shit, but they should get slapped in the face for making Punk do that. But anyway, I know why Punk was doing it, but still, it wasn't needed. Anyway, Punk came out to interrupt that great tribute. It said that he does apologize, Undertaker, for his loss at WrestleMania, and so there you go with that, with Punk saying that, and saying that indeed Paul Bearer will be forever remembered, but indeed he will get to beat the crap out of Taker at Mania, and of course 21-0 will be 20-1. Saw a lot of 20-1 signs, 21-0 signs from the fans in Indianapolis tonight. And while after that segment, doing a commercial on the Reactive app, they always like to advertise that a lot, as they want to advertise Twitter and tout. Punk got attacked by Kane, who of course took very disrespect in Punk's interruption of the tribute to Paul Bearer. Of course, Kane is of course the storyline half-brother of Taker, of course Paul Bearer's storyline son. It was ready to chokeslam Punk off the stage, but Punk avoided it. But then backstage, speaking of people who inherit from people's deaths, Vicky Guerrero came on the screen. Speaking of exploiting people's deaths, like I said about Vicky Guerrero's death being exploited, look who's talking, Vicky Guerrero, as she was making the main event for the night, following that attack from Kane. A main event was set, CM Punk against Kane, in an ODQ match. I can expect that Taker would be involved some way, shape, or form in this matchup, and we would see if Taker would indeed get involved in this matchup. Now on to our first matchup. It wasn't actually a match. It was more like a segment to set up a possible match, and I've been hearing a lot of rumors about several Mania matches being made. I think several Mania matches that I thought would happen may not even happen after Raw, and I'll explain those in a few minutes. But one Mania match has been very rumored is The Shield teaming up against Randy Orton, Sheamus, and Big Show. The teaser for that match continued tonight with a one-on-one matchup. Like I said, a segment involving Seth Rollins and the Big Show. It was supposed to be advertising as one of the members of The Shield's very first one-on-one matchup. But if you have to face someone from The Shield one-on-one, you have to contend with the other two. And that's what happened. Big Show was beating the crap out of Rollins early on, but he slid Rollins off the middle of the ring, like threw him outside the ring into Dean Ambrose, and then beat the crap out of Seth Rollins and also Ambrose and Roman Reigns as well. But indeed, all three members ganged up on Big Show, causing, of course, DQ, and of course, taking him back to the ring, beating him up, including, of course, a big spear from Roman Reigns as Big Show was trying to choke slam one of the other members of the Shield, and of course, with all their strength, the triple powerbomb was achieved by the Shield. No one came to help Big Show, though, but indeed, we would see the Shield yet again in the evening attack the two men that Big Show may end up teaming with, Orton and Sheamus, to, of course, build up the match. Like I said, that match has been rumored to happen. I think that match would be kind of a clusterfuck, but we'll see what happens there. So there you go. Seth Rollins, Big Show, not even a match. It's more like a segment, of course, a setup for a possible six-man tag at Mania. And speaking of matches at Mania, these two men, as of right now, do not have matches at Mania, but they should get one, especially if this excellent match. I told you in the beginning of the video, there was one good match tonight, and this is it. 2 for Money in the Bank winners. Well, one current Money in the Bank winner. Is he ever going to cash it in? Come on, Dolph. He took on Daniel Bryan. Great to see Daniel Bryan back one-on-one tonight. Great matchup between these guys. Very athletic, very back and forth action. There were some great spots in there with Daniel Bryan doing a suplex, but Dolph Ziggler countered it with a pin from midair. That was kind of a cool, weird mood. And like the second half of the match was the best half. You know, count up the counter. And Biggie Langston did get a little involved in the matchup as Daniel Bryan was trying to get the yes lock. Of course, that was the ending. As Daniel Bryan was trying to get the yes, no lock on Dolph Ziggler. D. Bryan was locking it in. Biggie Langston pulled the Dolph Ziggler to the rope, preventing a tap out, basically saving the match. And after that distraction from Biggie Langston costing Daniel Bryan the match, that of course helped Dolph Ziggler get the zigzag and the victory over Daniel Bryan. Like I said, with a little help from Biggie, and Biggie Langston beat the crap out of Daniel Bryan following the matchup. But it was kind of a weird way to end this match. It was a great matchup, very, very good matchup, very athletic back and forth action for these guys. These guys are very athletic wrestlers. And of course, Dolph Ziggler tried to show off a bit, but indeed, with a little help from his friend, he got the victory in a very good matchup tonight on Raw. And I hope these two can make a statement for at least a match on Mania. You know what I mean? They don't have a match yet on Mania, so hopefully next week they can get a match booked. Either against each other or some way, shape, or like I said, hopefully these two end up on Mania in a match in some way, shape, or form. Now, on with our next segment, more like not a match. Of course, once again, for the third week in a row, second week on Raw, that we did not get the official debut of Fandango. Now, I'm reading a lot of rumors about why Fandango's debut may not even happen at all, but why they're delaying the debut and why not may even happen. Well, I read from several sources, especially at WrestleZone.com, that Fandango may be fired, that WWE's already disenchanted with the guy, he may not be fired. That's why you've been seeing it the last couple of weeks. Fandango withholding his debut, saying that people ain't saying his name right, which happened again tonight in his supposed debut against Tenzai, saying that, oh, you didn't pronounce my name right again this week. Wrong, wrong, wrong. I'm going to debut whenever I want. So we'll see if that's another ploy. Like I said, will Fandango ever debut, or will he be lucky in his future endeavors? So there you go. Fandango once again does not debut. Will he ever debut, or will he be fired? We'll see. Time will tell. Now, on to the next matchup. That was the other thing the only bad thing about Raw tonight, too many fucking no contests tonight. Not a lot of in-ring action tonight. You had one good match, and then you had two silly segments. Three silly segments with weren't even matches. First off, you had, like I said, the first segment involving Big Show, building up the possible six-man tag between him, Sheamus, and Orton against the Shield. Then you had this silly segment involving Fandango not debuting again. Now we had another segment which involved the New Age Outlaws. They returned last week on Old School Raw. I liked that return, and I was hoping for a great match between them and Road Scholars. Both teams took on each other at house shows, so expecting a great matchup between these two teams. And I was glad World Scholars are back together again. They're reunited. And we saw a lot of kind of comebacks tonight, especially the Bellatrons, which I'll explain in a few minutes, a few seconds. But glad to see World Scholars back together permanently. I hope they get a tag shot and win this time. WWE, don't fuck this up. Anyway, New Age Outlaws were trying to get an advantage. Like, World Dog was doing his little hip move, his little doggy style move. And I did like Damien Sandal's parody of the Ladies and Gentlemen, Boys and Girls, Children of All Ages. That was funny. With the 2 words for you. You're welcome. That was kind of funny. More intelligent way of saying, oh, you didn't know. Like, the Damien Sandow version of that. And, of course, the match, like I said, more like a segment, was interrupted by Brock Lesnar. Now, like I mentioned, the whole Big Show Wellens match was more like a segment to set up the 6-man tag. Well, this New Age Outlaws match was more like a segment to set up Triple H and Brock Lesnar. Since the X, New Age Outlaws, the X, Triple H. That's why Lesnar came out as New Age Outlaws was fighting. Lesnar came out and fight both New Age Outlaws, both Billy Badass and Mr. Road Dogg. And of course, Paul Heyman was with them, and he said that yes, Triple H, Brock Lesnar will fight you at Mania on one condition. If you sign a contract to let us, Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar, break the stipulation. I said it last week. I've said it the last couple of weeks. If Lesnar and Triple H does wrestle at Mania, it won't be a wrestling match. It'll be a fight. It should be a stipulation match, like a no-holds-barred match, like a no-DQ match. And that's what's going to happen. There's going to be a stipulation involved. So we'll see how long Triple H responds to this storyline. Black Mirrors, King and Cole like to call it. And we'll probably get a contract signing next week or the week after. Like next couple weeks, we'll probably see this contract signing and see this stipulation be revealed. So there you go. Triple H and Lesnar is kind of officially on, but we'll get the contract signing to make it storyline official, with Triple H agreeing to the blackmail from Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman to make a stipulation. Like I said, it'll be like a no DQ match or no holds barred match. Be better that way. Hopefully, it's 10 times better than a SummerSlam match, but it's hard to say whether or not it will be better than SummerSlam. Anyway, on with our next match, which involved Mark Henry against Kofi Kingston. Now, of course, I thought that Mark Henry, I saw the seed planted last week involving Tenzai versus Mark Henry at Mania. Not Tenzai, Mark Henry, I meant Ryback Goldberg against Mark Henry at Mania. But we didn't even get that, but I'll talk about my thoughts on that in a moment. But basically, kind of a squasher, Mark Henry against Kofi Kingston. I like Kofi. I wish he got a bigger push, but he's like the Zack. He's like, I know I may get some hate for this, but I call Kofi Kingston the Black Zack Ryder. A guy who kind of had a push, but then WWE's demoting him for whatever reason. So that's why I like to call Kofi. Like Zack Ryder, had a push, had a title, but lost it, and his career's going down the drain since. So much for World Scholars against Kofi Truth and Mania. I thought that scene was planned a few weeks ago, but may not even happen now. Anyway, Mark Henry basically destroyed Kofi. Kofi did try to get some offense in, but indeed got a World's Strongest Slam from Mark Henry. 1, 2, 3 victory for Mark Henry, sending a big message to Ryback to start their little feud. And after that, we had the Bellatrons segment. Yes, Bellatrons are back. Whoop-de-freaking do. They're more like eye candy than wrestlers. So, there you go. We had to see them back. Is Kelly coming back? No, I'm kidding. Speaking of looks and wrestlers, so there you go. Speaking of better looks than wrestler, there you go with Kelly. Now, on the next match, which involved the aforementioned Ryback taking on Heath Slater. Do I need to say more? Heath Slater, squash, got his ass whipped, got a shell shock. He probably has a better losing streak against Ryback than Antonio Cesaro does. I think they said like a few weeks ago when Cesaro took on Ryback, but Cesaro's losing streak against Ryback. I think Slater's has a bigger loser streak against Ryback than anybody. He's got his ass kicked more by Ryback than anybody. Anyway, as Ryback was taking care of the other members of the 3MB, well, just McIntyre, Jinder ran away without any harm. That's when Mark Henry came out. And basically, it was a game of, can you top this? Like Mark Henry did a once like a slam on Drew McIntyre, then another shell shock by Ryback. And then later on in the evening, you would find out that Ryback and Mark Henry, the match has been made for SmackDown Friday. Other than made for Mania. But in my mind, I bet you something will happen during that match, something screwy involving Ryback and Mark Henry in this Friday on SmackDown. It would probably make a match in Mania. I thought it would be a match in Mania. But if the match does happen on SmackDown and ends cleanly, we won't have a Mania match. But if it does not end cleanly, there's some sort of screwy DQ or something involving Ryback and Mark Henry on Friday, it will probably cause a Mania match to happen between these two, like I have predicting. So there you go. Ryback, Mark Henry gets wins. It has a game of can you top this? And of course, possibly match at Mania, but we'll see what happens with the match on SmackDown first. If it ends cleanly, no Mania match. Doesn't end cleanly, yes, Mania match between Ryback and Mark Henry. Now on to our next matchup, which involved, well, champion versus champion. It was the United States champion, Antonio Cesaro, taking on the World Heavyweight champion, Porto Del Rio. Of course, Porto's got a lot in his mind with, of course, this match against Jack Swagger. He and Ricardo made fun of him on SmackDown Friday, made fun of him again. That funny video, it was okay, you know. It was not really that funny, but anyway, it was kind of like, it's just me, or does Alberto look like MacGruber with that blonde hair? Mexican MacGruber! Anyway, silly reference, silly joke for me. Ignore that joke. Anyway, Cesaro looked very good in this matchup. He has a great offense in, especially that great uppercut in mid-air. That was a great spot for this matchup. Alberto was trying to go for a big move off the top, and Cesaro calling him with a uppercut in mid-air. That was awesome. That was a great move. But unfortunately, despite a decent showing from Cesaro, Alberto Del Rio did end up getting a cross-arm breaker and the tap out, as Alberto Del Rio gains momentum towards his match against Jack Swagger. We would see Jack Swagger, the real Jack Swagger, later on tonight in his matchup against another Mexican immigrant, as Swagger would call him, another returning superstar like Bellatrix Sankara. Now, speaking of Bellatrix, of course, I mentioned Bellatrix return tonight in a segment involving them and World Scholars. Now, World Scholars thought their night was done after the short matchup with the New Age Outlaws, of course, getting interrupted by Brock Lesnar. World Scholars thought we're done. Well, they'd have another match. Team Ricky, of course, picking Guerrero and Brad Maddox, kind of made the match together. Not exactly, involving, of course, World Scholars taking on Randy Orton and Sheamus. Of course, like I mentioned earlier tonight, with Big Show against Seth Rollins, setting up the possible six-man tag. This would be another possible teaser for the six-man tag with Sheamus teaming up with Orton in a tag match. And against World Scholars. World Scholars look decent in this matchup. Having great teamwork, showing that their teamwork hasn't died out despite not having teamed up for a little while. And I'm glad they're back permanently in the tag team division. They should get another shot at the titles and fucking win it this time. Anyway, despite that great showing, of course, isolating Orton for most of the matchup, Orton got a hot tag to Sheamus, and Sheamus, of course, came in like a house of fire, dominating over both Sandow and Cody. And of course, Sheamus got the white noise on Sandow and ready to set up the big bro kick for Sandow. Cody tried to block it, but he got an RKO for his helping. And of course, Sheamus did nail the bro kick on Sandow. 1-2-3 victory for Sheamus and Randy Orton. Now, during Raw Active, they were confronted by the Shield and attacked by the Shield during commercial. Of course, like I mentioned, possible more teasers for the possible six-man tag. We'll probably get an official confirmation for that six-man tag in Mania next week on Raw, involving Shield, Sheamus, Randy Orton, and Big Show. So there you go. Sheamus and Orton wins, but gets attacked by the Shield. Is Orton ever going to turn heel? Like, there's been rumored for months that Orton's going to turn heel. In my mind, I don't think it's going to happen. They keep saying it's going to happen, but it never happened yet. There's been no heel tease from Orton yet, or anything showing he's going to be heel. In my mind, I think WWE is as scared of making Orton heel as they are making Cena here. They know Cena and Orton are the two biggest faces in WWE. Hell, they can make Punk turn heel, make Orton heel, damn it. But I think Orton is as big as a face as Cena. So making one of those two faces heel, WWE's scared. They don't want to lose money. Especially making Cena here, the fucking pussy. You know, they're all pussies. WWE's pussy for not making Orton or Cena here for that matter. So I hope they do, but WWE doesn't have the cojones, the balls. So there you go. Now, on our next segment. God, this segment's kind of lame. Worst highlight reel ever. Chris Jericho's back tonight. He's been off for a few weeks touring with Fozzy, and now he's back doing his highlight reel. God, the highlight reel sucked tonight. It wasn't even a fucking highlight reel. The Gerotron 6000 didn't even work. You know, it wasn't turned on. They took it off during a segment, and that was like a weird segment. It was a stupid segment involving Miz and Wade Barrett. Now, I thought that match was probably going to tease Wade Barrett against Miz at Mania. So much for Wade Barrett against Sheamus at Mania. But anyway, Miz against Barrett at Mania. But then Jericho got into Barrett's face during this weird segment. Especially weirder when Brad Maddox came out, flubbing his lines. You know, kind of like fumbling. And I was like, wow, it could be a triple threat at Mania. But then Brad Maddox said that it'll be a match next week for the IC Championship between the winner of Chris Jericho and Miz right now. That was kind of like a weird segment, like I said. One of the weakest, one of the worst highlight reels I've ever seen. It wasn't even a highlight reel, like I said. It wasn't a Jericho 5000. Didn't even walk. It was a cheap Jericho highlight reel, and I felt bad for them being in a stupid segment. Kind of like a weird, stupid segment. And Cole was an idiot. It was an awkward segment. It was an okay segment, but Cole kind of ruined the rest of it by saying this is horrible. I thought Cole was supposed to be face. I didn't know he was making a heel turn again. See, you let Cole turn heel again, but not Orton turn heel again? Come on, WWE. Stupid WWE logic as usual. Anyway, we'll on to our next match. Like I said, Chris Jericho against The Miz. Winner against Wade Barrett for the Intercontinental Championship next week. It was a decent matchup between these guys. You know, these guys are very athletic, former multi-time Intercontinental Champion, multi-time Tag Champions. So, very okay matchup between these guys. I like the numerous counters of Miz getting out of the walls of Jericho. But indeed, the ending came when Miz and Jericho fighting outside the ring. And Jericho win Miz against Wade Barrett. He got flung into Wade Barrett from Jericho. And I was like, uh-oh, Barrett's going to get involved and cause a DQ. Well, that's what happened after that inadvertent wearing into Barrett from Jericho, wearing Miz against Barrett. Barrett came out, beat the crap out of both of them, causing a no contest. That means we didn't find out who would win the match and to get the match against Barrett next week. And Jericho delivered a cold breaker, and Miz delivered a skull-crushing finale on Barrett for his helping. And on WWE Active, it was revealed that it will be a triple threat on Wall. Wow, matches I thought was going to be a Mania are going to be TV matches instead. I thought Mark Henry Ryback was going to be a Mania. It's going to be a SmackDown match unless it doesn't end cleanly. Jericho, Miz, and Barrett, I think the same thing. Either it's going to end cleanly or it's not going to end cleanly and end at Mania. That's what I'm thinking. Either, I hope the match happens at Mania, but it all depends, like I said, like the Ryback, Mark Henry match, the ending of the match on Monday. Either we will have a match at Mania between Miz, Barrett, and Jericho for the IC Championship, and it ends weird with a DQ or something. Or we won't have a Mania match between these three if the match does end cleanly on Raw next Monday. So there you go. Now on with our next situation, our next matchup involving, I mentioned Jack Swagger taking on Sin Cara. Of course, Swagger, Seth Coulter came out, usual Tea Party went, racist, Mexican immigrants, blah, 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 blah. We the Beba, blah, 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 blah. So basically, it was kind of a squasher. Couldn't like to see the blue light, though. That stupid lighting they always have for Sin Cara's matches wasn't used tonight. Although they still have the red light on the WWE fans tonight. I liked when the light wasn't shining on them last week during Old School Raw. Should have learned from that, WWE. Anyway, Sin Cara tried his best with some hand-flying moves, but indeed, Swagger grounded him, beat the crap out of him, got the Patriot Act, ankle lock, whatever you want to call it now, went to tapping out. And after that, Swagger got attacked by Alberto Del Rio, wanting a piece of Swagger. And Swagger was in the cross-arm breaker for a little bit until Zep pulled him underneath the rope, avoiding further damage. Of course, Alberto and Swagger want a piece of one another, of course, trying to hype up the match of Mania with this post-match attack from Alberto to Swagger. Now on to our next matchup. Before we do, we had a segment promoting the WWE movie The Call tonight. Of course, we're promoting Wade Barrett's movie, That Man Down, debuted in the top 5, and Miz's movie, Marine, during the highlight reel. We also had a segment involving The Call with David Otunga's movie with Halle Berry. You couldn't even tell David Otunga's in it because he's not in the trailers that much. And this is what WWE's doing with WWE films, focusing more on the real actors than the WWE actors. And Kane getting in that segment saying, Halle Berry would be a fan. God, I hate silly Kane. I like the monster Kane. Kane is like Bonus Clay. Should be monsters, but unfortunately they act like silly, goofy faces. So there you go. But Kane didn't act like a goofy face when he indeed was taking on CM Punk in the main event tonight in a no DQ match. Of course, emotions were running high, and I said that Taker may be involved in this matchup. Maybe we would see about that. And it was an okay no DQ match. We did see some chairs being flung around. You know, it's just okay. Punk had the advantage early on. Of course, Kane flew him all around the ring, beat him up with the ring post and the barricade and the table. And the Punk did get the upper hand in the end as Punk was delivering full damage to Kane. Here comes the gun from Taker that shook Punk down to his boots and distracted him long enough for Kane to get a choke slam and a 1-2-3 victory for Kane in the memory of his storyline stepdad, Paul Bearer. As Kane was celebrating his victory over CM Punk with a little help from Taker's gong, here comes Taker himself to celebrate with Kane, both during the Paul Heyman pose. Not Paul Heyman pose, I meant the Paul Bearer pose. But Punk once again interrupted the emotional segment by nailing Kane in the head with the urn. Urn was at ringside, and Punk nailed Kane with it. And as Taker was trying to help Kane out and ready to attack Punk, Punk ran out like a pussy, a cookie puss, and avoided a confrontation with Taker as he ran out with the urn in his hands as we ended Raw with that. Punk running out of Raw with the urn. Like I said, though, exploiting Paul Heyman's death with the whole urn thing. You know, we'll see what happens next week. Probably Taker will deliver some sort of promo, a verbal promo next week about Punk taking the urn, Paul Bearer, blah, 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 blah. It's kind of weird they're exploiting Paul Heyman's death. I mean, Paul Bearer's, I keep saying Paul Heyman, I'm sorry. You know, Paul Bearer's death. They're exploiting it, but we'll see how it's exploited next week. And Rock wasn't on this week, which is kind of good, but probably Rock will be on next week, of course, to hype up his match against Cena. Cena wasn't on Raw this week either. Yay! Cena-less Raw! We don't see some of those. We don't see any of those lately. It's rare to see a Cena-less Raw. So it's kind of cool to have a Cena-less Raw for once. But indeed, we're going to get Super Cena and Super Rock again next week, probably. And of course, Triple H will probably answer Brock Lesnar's blackmail and sign the contract. So with that in mind, thank you all very much for watching my Raw review for this evening. You've all been attacked by the review from Zach. Have a good night, everybody. See y'all later. Yeah.